I sat looking at the screen in horror. It showed the question my entire life depended on. How many people work at My Story Animated? I closed my eyes and strained as I tried to remember. I knew this. Think, Hope. This is your favorite channel. You should know this. Suddenly, it came to me. I knew, and I excitedly yelled the answer out loud in the silent room. 80! The host said, "That is correct." I jumped from my seat and broke into a dance as everyone cheered. I'd just won $1 million. Just then, my parents and Stephanie, my sister, joined me, screaming for joy. Dad said, "You've done it. You brilliant, brilliant child. You've made us all rich." Hi, my name is Hope, and this is the story of me becoming a millionaire. Little did I know, the minute I got that check would change my life forever. When we received the money, our parents moved to a gorgeous mansion, and I officially became their favorite child. One person wasn't happy about all of this, though. Stephanie, my sister, a famous influencer on Instagram. It was like the minute I got rich, she made a pact with the devil to destroy my life. One day, as Mom ordered our new chef to make me a special breakfast, the butler came in with the mail and said there were flowers for someone. Stephanie, who was working on her newest vlog, quickly snatched them, saying they must be from one of her fans. Okay, guys, this morning there were flowers in the mail for me again. This is the biggest bouquet I've ever gotten, and there's a note here too. I'll read it. Your beauty has me captivated. I saw you and I knew I would never look at another. I love you. Hope? What? I jumped toward her to grab the piece of paper, but she ripped it up. I was joking, guys. Everyone knows I'm the prettier sister. Anyways, these flowers are half dead, and I think I see bugs. I'll throw them out. Dad threw down his fork and knife and stopped eating. How dare you behave like that with your sister? She won $1 million. They could have been for her. But she said, they were mine. I'm the pretty one. A few days later, I saw a guy mowing the lawn across from ours. I had to admit, guys on this side of town were H.O.T. I noticed he was looking at me, so I waved at him, and for a minute, he looked nervous. Then he started coming over. As soon as he reached me, he handed me a beautiful rose and said, "Hi, I'm..." The door of the house suddenly opened and another boy walked out. He took one look at me and rushed over. "Nathan, are you done mowing the lawn? We don't pay you to hit on our gorgeous neighbors." Nathan turned red. I was so embarrassed. I'd called him over, and now this rude dude was insulting him. Nathan just smiled and winked at me. Then he turned and ran back. "I'm getting to it, man. Chill." By then, the other guy had walked over to me. He grabbed my hand, shaking it far too enthusiastically for my liking. "You're Hope, that millionaire girl. I'm following you on Instagram. You looked so beautiful on TV. I'm Jake." Steph and Dad saw us from the window and joined us. As soon as Steph heard this guy was following my account, she tried to cut in and introduce herself, asking if he'd seen her on Instagram. But Jake totally ignored her. She looked furious. Uh-oh, here she blows. But thankfully, Dad cut in. "I'm glad you've all met each other. We met him when we came to check out this place. I hope you two will get along well since you'll be going to the same school." Jake grinned and winked at me. "I think we'll get along just fine, sir." Oh, great. I shuddered thinking about hearing this weirdo talk like that for a whole freaking school year. The next day before school, I was roaming our huge new yard when I noticed an envelope in the mailbox. I ran and snatched it up, looking to see who could have left it. I saw Jake from across the road. "Hey, did you see who left this?" He blew me a kiss and shouted, "Read it alone." I went inside and opened the letter. "Dear Hope, ever since I saw you, I can't think of anyone else. I've written a poem for you. I saw you once by the lovely sea. My world so sad, felt full of glee. I looked at you, and I knew I love you deep, and I love you true." Jake had written me a poem? That was the most romantic thing anyone had ever done. Who would have thought Jake could write something so beautiful? I ran to Steph. "Look at this, sis. My first ever love letter. You know who I think sent it? Jake. Maybe he's not as bad as I thought." To my shock, she just snatched the letter and started screaming. "Get off your high horse, Hope. Stop acting like the world worships you now that you have some stupid money. I can't believe you're trying to embarrass me because one stupid guy wrote you a stupid note." That was so mean. How could she say something like that? "You're just jealous because Mom and Dad like me more now." But luckily, Mom pulled us apart and yelled at Stephanie. "Stephanie, behave yourself. If you can't be as useful as her, at least appreciate what she's done for us. She's paid for this huge mansion. You're all just eating out of her hands because she's rich now. Disgusting. But Mom just pushed us out of the house for school. School. Stephanie had already made friends because of her Instagram, but the only person I knew was Jake, who may have been both a stupid jock and a secret poet. But as soon as I walked into class, all thoughts of Jake and his notes disappeared when I saw him. The guy who was mowing the lawn, Nathan. The minute our eyes met, he rushed over to me. Hi, I never got to properly introduce myself. I'm Nathan, school jock by day, gardener, and waiter by night. I laughed, and I half expected him to make a remark about me being a millionaire, but he waited instead for me to introduce myself. Did he not know I was the new millionaire girl everyone was talking about? Oh, hi, I'm Hope. Nathan said, Okay, Miss Hope. I'm sorry if what I say freaks you out, but you look gorgeous. For a minute, I didn't know what to say, and he pulled out a seat next to his. Sit with me? I couldn't believe this guy was being so obvious about liking me. The girls around me were clearly jealous. That evening, there was a huge party at one of the seniors' house, and Nathan had invited me to go with him. Steph couldn't stop talking about it. I'm going to make the best vlog ever, and sponsorships will pour in. Just as we were about to leave, Mom jumped in. And just where do you think you're going? Stephanie said, Ugh, Mom, the party. Now let's go. I've got a vlog to make. Mom looked mad and said she couldn't go. Those peanuts you make from Instagram aren't worth anything now. Go upstairs and study. Then she turned to me and said, Have fun, sweetie. We won't wait up for you. I felt bad for Steph. I would have helped her out, but just then, a car honked outside. Nathan was here to pick me up. At the party, girls kept swarming up to Nathan like bees to honey. But then again, he was eye candy. Suddenly, he put his arms around me and asked me to dance with him. Luckily enough, the music turned slow and Nathan and I were gliding around the room while everyone stared at us. Hope, I have to tell you something. My heart hammered in my chest. This was it. The moment I'd been waiting for since I first saw him. But out of nowhere, a pair of strong hands pulled me away from Nathan. Jake said, Babe, I've been looking everywhere for you. Dance with me. Oh my God, Jake? Did he seriously pull me away from Nathan when he was about to ask me out? I wanted to kill him. I pushed him away and said I'd catch up with him later. I went looking for Nathan, but it was like every guy in the school decided to ask me to dance just then. I had to practically yell that I wasn't interested and made my way through the crowd looking for Nathan. He didn't leave, did he? But then I saw him. Except he was dancing with another girl. No! I ran over to him, but when I saw who he was dancing with, I almost passed out. Stephanie. She said, Hey there, sis. I saw you dancing with Jake, so I thought I'd give this cutie some company. I said, Nathan, I'm sorry, he was just... She said, Oh, stop it, you. Stop playing with this poor boy's heart. I told him everything about Jake. In fact, I told everyone. I immediately saw what she was doing. She was streaming it live. I said, What? No, Nathan, don't listen to her. I turned to tell him the truth, but he was gone. What's your problem? You've gone too far, Steph. The next day at school was hell. Nathan wouldn't even look at me, and everyone else kept calling me a two-timer. At lunch, I saw Stephanie grab her tray and sit right next to him. I glared at her. Why don't you just sit in his lap, you idiot? Steph turned in my direction as if she'd heard my thoughts and stuck her tongue out at me. Then she put her head on Nathan's shoulder. The witch. That was the last straw. I jumped up and got onto the table. Everyone around me gasped. I said, Nathan, I know you think I've been playing with you, but that's not true. The truth is, I really like you. And if I didn't, would I be standing in the middle of the cafeteria asking you this? Will you please be my boyfriend? For a few seconds, no one moved. But then suddenly, everyone started cheering and telling him to say yes. Someone even shouted, You gotta go easy on her, man. She's gorgeous. I turned to Nathan, hopeful, but he just pushed Stephanie away and rushed out. I was devastated. To make matters worse, Jake came up to me and said, He's just the poor gardener anyway. You should date me. I'm rich like you, my millionaire babe. I was so mad at him. It was all his fault Nathan hated me. I pushed Jake and turned to run home, only to bump right into Nathan. He was smiling at me. I said, Nathan, I thought you'd never talk to me again. He said, And never hear that sweet voice again? I just had to get something. It was a gorgeous silver necklace. He put it around my neck and said, You're the moon, and I'm forever a star in your orbit, Hope. I was so happy. I hugged him right in the middle of the school. I heard people cheering around us. I looked around to see practically half the school. When I got home, I was still blushing and grinning like an idiot. But the minute I walked in, my smile faded. Mom and Dad were sitting in the lounge looking grim. As soon as I entered, Mom jumped up and started to cry. Mom said, "How could you do this to us, Hope? Falling for a poor homeless boy. He'll run away with all of it. He'll ruin us." For a minute, I had no idea what she was talking about. But then she showed me her phone. It was a video of me and Nathan hugging. How did they find out so soon? Just then, I saw Stephanie sitting in the corner of the room. She caught my eye and grinned. Of course she had a hand in this. I said, "Mom, Nathan is not homeless. His parents aren't poor. He just works so he can help pitch in for school." Stephanie said, "She's lying, Mom. Dad, you saw his car. It was tiny. He's just after her money." I tried to protest and said, "He doesn't even know I'm rich. He didn't recognize me at all." But no matter how hard I tried, Stephanie just yelled louder that Nathan was lying to me. I couldn't take it anymore, so I ran to my room. I needed to think straight. I felt like I was a character in one of the videos from my favorite YouTube channel, My Story Animated, my experience with dating a billionaire girlfriend. But there was no way Nathan was lying to steal my money, was he? The very next day after school, he slipped a note into my hand. The envelope read, "Follow this heart. It'll bring you mine." Then he took me to his favorite spot in the city, and sitting next to him, I couldn't care less about what Mom and Dad said. Nathan really cared about me. Somehow, we would make it work. As we came back, Nathan said we would visit his mom before he took me home. "She's been really ill. Dad and I were really worried for months, but I've managed to finally get my hands on the money I needed for her treatment. You're like a good luck charm for me." I blushed hearing that. How could someone be so handsome and still be so sweet? Answer, they can't. As soon as we pulled into his driveway, everything changed. There seemed to be a crowd outside his house. There was Jake, looking furious, and two people who I assumed were Jake's parents. And behind them was Stephanie, grinning like the idiot that she was. Her camera was out, and I knew we were being streamed live. Nathan said, "What now?" To my utter horror, Jake started shouting about how Nathan was a thief. He said Nathan had stolen his wallet. I said, "That's ridiculous. And Steph, put away that stupid phone." Jake said, "Oh yeah? Then what was this doing in your room?" Then he waved his wallet in Nathan's face. He looked like he'd seen a ghost. Nathan said, "No, that can't be. I don't know how." But just then, Nathan's dad stepped up and said, "Don't lie, son. We saw them pick it out from a pile of clothes. I've never been more disappointed in you." I tried to defend him again when suddenly Stephanie showed me something horrible. Stephanie said, "Guess what else we found, sis? My diamond bracelet. I hadn't even realized it was missing." I turned to Nathan in horror and said, "How could you? Is this how you plan to pay your mom's bills? I could have given you the money. You just had to ask." Then I turned and ran away. I felt pity for Nathan, but I was devastated. I never thought he'd stoop so low. The next few weeks after school were horrific. At school, it seemed like everyone had seen Steph's stupid video and everyone was avoiding Nathan. It broke my heart to see him alone and sad, but I didn't know what else to do. Worst of all, now Jake was always by my side. I couldn't even think of talking to Nathan with Jake around. I really missed Nathan. So one day, when I finally managed to shake off Jake, I went to Nathan's mom's house. I wanted to see him just to give him another chance to explain himself. Maybe he wasn't really guilty. His mom was on the porch, so I didn't even have to ring the doorbell. She told me where his room was and said another girl had just dropped by minutes ago. Curious, I tiptoed to his room. His door was slightly open, and what I saw almost made me pass out. Stephanie said, "Nathan, baby, she didn't even trust you. You knew Jake set you up. You could have gotten out of it, but she didn't even let you try. She thinks you're after her money. Date me instead." It was Stephanie. She was trying to hug Nathan, who kept pushing her away. "Get out of here. Jake couldn't have put her bracelet there. I'm done with both of you. Get out." With that, he suddenly pushed the door open for her and jumped back, horrified. For a minute, our eyes met. "Hope, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I understand now why you hate me." And then I turned and ran. Behind me, I heard Stephanie giggling. "Oops. Eavesdropping, was she?" If I thought my heart was broken before, it was smashed to pieces now. And I was the culprit. I'd let down the love of my life, and now he hated me. And it was all Jake's and Stephanie's fault. I ran all the way to Jake's house and banged on his door. He said, "Babe, I was just thinking about you." I slapped his face. "I never want to see your face again. I know what you did to poor Nathan. I don't care how many love notes you write to me. Don't ever freaking talk to me again." Jake looked stunned for a minute, but the next second he burst out laughing. "What love notes? Did you think it was me? Oh, you're smarter than that. I just saw that loser gardener leaving the note there, and I pretended it was me. There was no way I was going to stand by while you dated him. Now that the romance is over, do whatever." He slammed the door in my face. For a moment, I stood there. Just then, I heard him behind me. "I saw you once in a crowded room, and I felt 1,000 flowers bloom. I looked at you, and you at me. My heavy heart was finally free." I turned and looked at my secret admirer in shock. "Nathan!"